Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome. I'm very pleased to be joined by Jonathan Woods. Jonathan is the Vice President for Renewable Aviation at Neste. Neste is the Finnish oil major. They have a long history in supplying to the SAF market, the Sustainable Aviation Fuels market, with their specific technology pathway, the NEXBTL, which is a sort of use cooking oils and waste oils to a kerosene product. You have got, I think, three biorefineries in operation. You're building a fourth, so you have one in Finland, Rotterdam, Singapore, and also your fourth now going into production into USA. So arguably one of the largest sort of SAF producers, if not the largest SAF producers to date, with great experience in scaling up. And you yourself bring over 35 years experience to the role, and also a specialist in aviation fuels with 10 years, I think, before at Air BP. So Jonathan, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, glad to be here. You summarised my background, the Neste story, and where we see the future, or the near future at least, going pretty well there.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it is around the future. You're going to be speaking at the SAF Congress. We're speaking here the end of April 2023. We've obviously just seen that the first concrete indications of the policy that's going to go through in Europe in terms of the Refuel EU. And can you give us a background of some of that, the journey that Neste's been on to date, and what you see as the landscape of what is quite complex different pathways? And now we're seeing the specification of an e-fuel component coming into a sort of compliance market in 2030 to 2035, going up in percentages. So quite complex environment, but yeah, please can you help some of the listeners understand what is going on?
Yes, pleasure to be here, and happy to do so. So, firstly, Neste has definitely now made the transition from being a traditional fossil fuel refiner and marketer in the Nordic region in Finland. Some 20 years ago, developed and patented this technology to handle raw materials, and in particular waste oils and fats. And that's the technology that we're now building out and scaling up, so that we can bring renewable and circular solutions not just to the aviation market, but also road transportation and chemicals. So Neste is really transformed from being an oil co to becoming a renewable and circular solution company. And we actually set targets around the level of emission reductions we want to achieve in our own operations. By 2035, we intend to be net zero in our own operations, but also for our customers. So if you like, not our footprint, but our handprint. So we are targeting to increase the carbon emission reductions of our customers with the products we bring to market from 10 to 20 million tons per annum by the end of the decade. And so scaling up the sourcing of these waste oils and fats and other biomaterials, and then cleaning them up and turning them into useful products that are indeed recycled products. We're not digging the carbon out of the ground, rather we're recycling what's in the atmosphere through bio waste materials. And yes, the technology we're using right now, the hydrotreated esters and fatty acids technology, is the one that's proven to be commercially deliverable today, and that will enable us to deliver, we as Neste, but also the industry, to deliver on the ambitions in 2025 in the EU and in North America. But the key is now to scale up and tap into the future production technologies and feedstock sources, so that we can indeed get to net zero. 2025 is just the start of the journey. 2030 and beyond is what's now key.
And those HEFA pathways, and in terms of their scalability, is there a large source of available feedstocks? What are those feedstocks? And do you see them, the collection and then treatment, and then I guess repurposing them into new products? That's a scalable process that you see occurring, and do you see the landscape developing into lots of kind of smaller biorefineries, because they need to have quite a large hinterland of products that they draw upon, as opposed to us developing much huger sort of refineries?
Yeah, that will be interesting to see how it plays out. And I think basically the different production technologies and feedstocks will determine whether they're large, centralized production points or more dispersed. I mean, clearly with the energy transition, there's a move away from fossil fuels, but also now energy security is a big thing, as well as, of course, the economic growth that everybody's trying to achieve from this energy transition and the jobs associated with it. So there's a lot of forces that are pulling towards developing local production points, but we need to look at it on a case-by-case basis. So what we're doing as Neste and what the industry is doing at the moment by using these waste oils and fats, used cooking oil and the like, is aggregating them and converting them into as large as possible and as efficient as possible production points in major logistics centers like Singapore or Rotterdam. But as we move to the other production technologies, and I should add that we see, and industry studies confirm, approximately 50 million tons worth of these waste oils and fats. And to put that in the context of the aviation market, that's probably 15 to 20% of total demand. It's certainly over 10% at least.
Right.
So you can see how this production technology and feedstock or raw material source can enable the aviation industry alongside other sectors to get to maybe 10% by 2030. But beyond that, we've got to now be working in the 2020s about the production technology and feedstocks beyond that. Yeah. So municipal solid waste is for sure one. Alcohol to jet using waste corn is another. Those more logically would be production points that would be closely located to the source of the raw material.
Yeah.
So major urban centers or agricultural regions.
Yeah.
And then if you look at if you go beyond that to the so-called power to liquid, where we're using renewable electricity to create green hydrogen, you've got to be close to the renewable power source, and you've also got to be close to a source of carbon. So in fact, regions like the Nordic region, where you've got plentiful and low-cost renewable power already today, and carbon sources like pulp mills and the like, could be logical centers. But then you've got, for example, the Middle East, North Africa, got plentiful, or at least the prospect of plentiful solar power. So the challenge for them will be, how can we convert that into green hydrogen and into a transportable intermediate product that can be converted potentially into a renewable fuel in a central hub location. So it really depends on the production technology and the feedstock source as to the role that different regions will play and whether it's going to be centralized or devolved.
And you mentioned the carbon component, and you mentioned the Nordics having an advantage because of where exactly are you referring to that carbon coming in the Nordics regions?
Well, it could be from forestry waste or pulp mills, paper and pulp mills. But there could be, I don't want to just pick out the Nordics. There could be carbon sources combined with low-cost renewable power. In other regions, I mean, you've probably heard about the project that's in Chile using low-cost renewable power to then convert into an intermediate product that then can be shipped and converted into a renewable fuel in North America or Europe. So it really depends on the region and what its natural attributes are as to the role it can play. But the positive thing about this is it's creating opportunities as well for regions which up until now maybe have not been able in the fossil fuel world to play a role.
Yeah, it's clear. I mean, in terms of what happens now, we're obviously seeing legislation in the US as well, which is certainly looking at pushing the green hydrogen and reducing the cost of that. So I'm assuming that can help in terms of opening up the viability of producing eSAFs or these I guess different types of fuels. What is your take around what happens now in terms of the scale up? You've obviously built biorefineries, and you've got a fourth, as you mentioned. People are spending capex, and it's about building more biorefineries, developing the technical know-how from some of these other different pathways, and give us a taste of some of the work that's going on there at Neste? You're investing R&D into some of the other pathways and yeah.
Yeah. So I think with regard to the waste oils and fats, the technology and the scale up is known, is understood, and whether it's Neste or whether it's some of the oil companies by converting traditional fossil fuel refineries, or indeed one or two newer entrants, that's a known technology. With respect to the future production technologies, it's about putting the pieces together, which individually may be known. Fischer-Tropsch, for example, gasification is not a new technology. It's a long-established technology, but it's about putting it together with the sourcing of the feedstocks and cleaning of the feedstocks so the gasification process works, but then also converting it at the end into a renewable fuel that can be used in aircraft or road vehicles or the like. So it's putting the different pieces together in a way that works technically and is then can be scaled up in a relatively efficient way. And one of the things also that to bear in mind is, of course, these future technologies are likely to cost more than the current heifer-based SAF, which in itself is costing more than fossil-based jet fuel today. And often the capital cost is that even if the feedstock or raw material cost may be low, the conversion cost, and in particular the capital cost, is very high. So that's presenting an additional challenge in terms of the financing of these projects. So really, it's key to collaborate together, bring the different players in partnerships. And indeed to pilot these plants so that the technical risk at least can be reduced, and hopefully the capital costs can be challenged, can be addressed as well to assist the financing. Because what we're looking at here, I mean, the aviation and the SAF industry is a subset of the energy transition that we're embarking upon as a society, and it's probably going to cost hundreds of billions of dollars to deliver effectively an entirely new fuel production capability for the aviation industry, backed by renewable power investments as well. So this is a huge investment undertaking that we're facing. So there will be a shake-up. You know, the traditional oil majors may not be the main players in the future. But collaboration is going to be key to bring these projects up and prove them so that they can be rolled out in the different regions.
Yeah, and you're, I assume, looking to collaborate. You've got in-house R&D, but you're also, I guess, looking to talk with partners and people that are taking science out of the labs and developing new sort of pathways.
Absolutely. I mean, Neste, with the projects that we've brought on stream, will have over 5 million tons worth of production capacity by the end of this year, of which 1.5 million tons will be SAF. So that's about 3% of European demand. So the short-term mandate challenge, I would say, is not our main challenge. It's scaling up the future production technologies, and we've got R&D teams working specifically on lignocellulosic agricultural and forestry waste, on municipal waste, on power to liquids, and we are actively talking out there in the market with players about particular projects. So we for sure, as Neste, intend to be playing in those future production technologies, but you know, just like the industry needs to be. Yeah. I think we're reflecting here what the industry itself sees as the way forward. And what this emphasizes also when it comes to policy is we mustn't already try and pick the winners. We've got to let human ingenuity do its work here and see which are the ones that we really can not only develop technically, but also which are the ones that where we can get the most from in terms of learning benefits, cost efficiencies, and the like.
Yeah, I mean, picking the winners is a, I guess, a well-known phrase when it comes to governments getting involved and trying to determine policy. And that, I guess, is that, I mean, would you say that there has been a risk of picking the winners in that specification of that e-fuels component going forward of 2030, or do you think that specific branch of the clean fuels industry needed that specificity to help scale technology and you know, get financing and lock in offtake agreements?
So I think it's helpful to give that initial stimulus and momentum, because the fact is that e-fuels, whilst everybody wants to get excited about them, right now are not deliverable technically, and they're certainly not going to be deliverable at the same kind of cost as the currently available SAFs that we see. So having that kind of clearly targeted requirement that a certain proportion be SAF is a positive, but I think we'll need to review, if we look at it within the European context, we'll need to review what are the right percentages. After a certain point in time, I would hope that government can step back and let the market do its work in terms of determining what proportion in the aviation space is in eSAF, because we need to remember it's not just about aviation. There are all the other sectors, and the call on green hydrogen, it may be more economically sensible to direct the green hydrogen to other sectors or for other products. So that's it's a much more complex equation than just looking at aviation alone.
Yeah, it certainly is complex, and it's it's a technology arms race. You're trying to sort of predict ahead, 10 years down the line how these technologies are essentially going to mature. And but yeah, we're moving now, and there seems to be good momentum, and certainly that is evident by certainly by the interest we're seeing in this year's SAF Congress. As I mentioned, you'll be there speaking 7th to 9th of June in Amsterdam, and looking obviously to collaborate, meet partners, and exchange ideas on hopefully the variety of projects that we're now going to see hopefully achieving financial investment decisions and beginning to get sort of some infrastructure built, and some, I guess, learning through doing is the phrase that comes to mind. So many thanks, Jonathan, for spending the time to speak to me today, and we look forward to your thoughts at the SAF Congress, and indeed watching the progress of Neste Oil as it goes forward in this space. It's certainly going to be an interesting journey.
Not at all. Glad to be joining you. I mean, I think in essence we need to have the ambition and the pace. We've got the developing solutions, so and we need to both look to policy support, but also to explaining this to the end customers and encouraging and stimulating that demand with the end customers as well. So very positive about the future. I think this is less about a 2025 challenge and more about a 2030 and beyond challenge.
Indeed, I understand that completely. So great. Many thanks, Jonathan. Take care. I look forward to seeing you in June.
Yeah. See you there.
Cheers. Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.